Good day, everyone. I hope you are doing fine today. So, before we start with our lesson, let's have first an activity. So, this activity is called word search. And I know a lot of you are already familiar with this game. So, the objective of this word search is to find all the hidden words inside the box, okay? Okay, let's start. So, I will flash it now in your screens and you can type your answers in our chat box. Okay, very good. So the hidden words are first reports, next is proposals. Now let's move on to our lesson. So I am Suerte and our topic for today is all about polishing and refining reports and proposals. So when we prepare our writing for others to read, we often polish it. In this sense, polishing writing is much like polishing our shoes when we dress up for a special occasion. We polish our shoes because we want to look our best. And similarly, because we want our writing to look at its best, we polish it. And as important in that polishing, we aim to make our writing as easy as possible for others to read. So this means that when we are writing a report or a proposal, a first draft isn't the end if you really want to increase your chances of good marks. There are few more things you need to do in order to turn the first chapter of your report into something great. So in this lesson, we are going to look at what you can do to improve your report. So we'll start with some general checks that we can do, then moving on to the strategies to improve your report structure and language. Then we will also learn how to create great report titles before moving on to writing an abstract or summary. Now, let us start with some general checks that we can do. So first, it is essential to check to make sure that you have answered all aspects of your assignment prompt. It is important to look at and properly understand the exact question that your lecturer has sent to you to make sure that you are actually answering the right question. And to make sure that you really did answer all the questions in your report, you can highlight the key elements in the question and find them in your report. Next is that you are also going to make sure that you are fulfilling the given criteria. So you should look through your marking or assessment rubric and give yourself a mark. So for example, you are given a task to write a report about a school event. Of course, you are going to consult to our rubric all through planning, drafting, and finalizing your report. It is important to always revisit our rubric because it might show you some certain points and arguments that you need to make clear, or it might point out something that you have forgotten to consider. Checking your marking and assessment rubric also includes double-checking what your word or page limit is and ensuring that you fall within acceptable boundaries. This brings us to our report structure. So again, we need to make sure that every question that is asked for is in your report. And to improve the structure and organization of your already written draft, you can create a reverse outline. A reverse outline means looking at your draft and write an outline of what is in your paper and quickly summarizing what is in each paragraph. Through this, we will be able to see that there are certain points that are overdeveloped, underdeveloped, and that other key points are entirely absent. These, in turn, are the areas that we need to focus on. So how do we do this? So you should start with a complete draft to have a fuller picture of the plan you carried out. You can use a partial draft to review the organization of each paragraph that you have written so far. Then after that, you can create an outline by listing the main ideas of each paragraph in your draft in a blank document. If you find more than one main idea in each paragraph, write it down. And if you cannot find any main idea in each paragraph, write it down too. After that, state how each main idea of each paragraph supports the purpose. Then, number your list for ease of reference. So after you have finished these steps, you already have a reverse outline. Next is that it is also important to make sure that there is a logical development on how you present the information. This means checking for coherence and cohesion to make sure that your ideas and sections are logical and fit together. So coherence and cohesion are key ingredients for making or writing great reports. They can make a great difference to help your reader understand your overall ideas. So when we say coherence, this refers to making sure that your ideas is expressed and developed with clarity. One way to do this is to ensure that each paragraph of your report follows a logical order. So there are three most common ways to order your writing logically. So there is what we call chronological order, logical division of ideas, and compare and contrast. When we say chronological order, it involves ordering your writing as a sequence of events. So you can use chronological order when you are writing in your methodology section for your research report to recount the research process, or when you write in an account of how a person or a patient is treated. Next is the logical division of ideas. So this is when a particular topic is broken down into subtopics and then each subtopic is addressed. So an example of this kind of logical order is when you are writing about a climate change. So you can first divide the topic into its cause and effects, and then you can divide the effects into some things like environmental effects, social effects, and economic effects. Next is the compare and contrast. So this is when the differences and similarities of two or more things are discussed. Cohesion, on the other hand, refers to the different parts of your writing such as words, paragraphs, and sections that makes up your writing works together to form a unified text. So cohesion helps the reader to follow your overall ideas and arguments. So one of the ways to achieve cohesion in your writing is to use pronouns to refer back to the other parts of the text. And in particular, you must also check the language of your report. Make sure that your sentences are not way too long and the grammar is not overly complicated. Professional reports favor being brief and is written in simple, direct, and concise sentences. Let us look at our example report. So this is a business case study report looking at a company called Kurosawa Film. Here is an example paragraph from a section entitled Kurosawa Film's Competition in Asian Markets 1995 to 2005. So the issue of this paragraph is that in the second sentence that begins with "this loss" is way too long and needs to be broken down into shorter sentences. Another problem of this excerpt is that it is irrelevant. The last statement has nothing to do with the section's theme or even the report as a whole. Sentences in reports should almost always be direct, simple, and brief. In your own report, irrelevant sentences may not be quite so clear, so be cautious when you are refining and polishing. So more information about writing section titles, abstract, and summary is to be discussed by Miss Aname Tagalog.
Let's take a look now at writing section titles. Writing section titles need to be short phrases that describe a section clearly. It must include keywords and avoid unnecessary phrases. And it can also be numbered, particularly in professional reports. For example, in the picture, you may have noticed that the third title has the verb were. It makes sense as a sentence, but it doesn't work as a title. So if we simply delete the word were, like so, it becomes more brief and direct. So, these work better for section titles. Along with section titles, many reports also include some kind of summary at the beginning of the report. As with section titles, these are generally written towards the end of the writing process. This summary is called abstract. It says that it helps others to decide whether to read or not. Abstract can be simply summary or focus on results. Lastly is executive summary. It gives a brief overview, provides overall summary of the report's purpose, also followed with 1 to 2 sentences summarizing each main point. So that's all for our report. We hope you have learned something from our discussion today. Goodbye and thank you everyone.